Welcome to the Frequent Miler Million Mile Madness Challenge participant play-by-plays. This team challenge was our second one for 2024, where 3 of our Frequent Miler fam worked towards SAS's Eurobonus promotion of earning 1 million miles by taking 15 different qualifying SkyTeam airlines, and then tried to complete it in 2 weeks in November. In this segment, you can find all of the video updates in one place from one of our contestants, Stephen Pepper. For the full details on this challenge, be sure to visit millionmilemadness.com. Get ready to fly around the world with Stephen's Million Mile Adventure.
Okay, so I'm in Las Vegas Airport at the moment. I'm just getting ready to take off on my first flight for Million Mile Madness. So it's going to be a long couple of weeks of traveling, many other flights in economy class, but this is the flight that I'm most looking forward to because it's going to be my next 2 flights are going to be the most comfortable flights, most likely, of my entire journey. And they're not even qualifying flights for SkyTeam, but that's the way it's worked out because I've managed to find some decent positioning flights. So I will show you soon where I'm off to. Okay, so it's just after midnight and I've landed at JFK. I've got a flight out of here in the morning at like 8:30 or something like that. So I'm just going to be hanging out here, hoping to be able to get into a 24-hour lounge and just hang out there. So I just flew here on American Airlines, flew from Las Vegas to Los Angeles in American Airlines first class, and then business class from Los Angeles to JFK. And that was an absolute steal because I managed to book that entire trip for 21,500 miles, and that's a fantastic price for being able to be in first class to LA and then flagship business class, because it also gave me access to the American Airlines flagship lounge in Los Angeles. So yeah, really nice comfortable flight, lay flat seats on the way from LA to JFK, so stay tuned for my next update. Okay, so I started yesterday at Las Vegas Airport and went to the Centurion Lounge there. My flight had me going through Los Angeles and I went to a Centurion Lounge there, and now I'm in JFK and I'm on my 3rd Centurion Lounge within 24 hours. So I've been here at JFK overnight, and so I'm currently in, or just about to be, enjoying a shower here to freshen up, ready for my next flight. So I just arrived at the Premier Inn at London Heathrow Terminal 4, and I thought I'd give you a quick look around the room. So, into here, there's a kind of open closet deal here, desk to work out with some tea and instant coffee if you need, an electric kettle, and then here's the bedroom with a double bed and a chaise lounge, which I think might convert to another bed if you need it to. You presumably have to ask for some bedding. And then here's the bathroom. I booked this for £54, which is about $70. That doesn't include breakfast, but you can add breakfast on. So the hotel has a Costa coffee here with various food options, as well as a food menu for dinners. You can also get a package that includes dinner and breakfast in the morning, and that gives you 20% off. And then here's the breakfast menu as well. So while Greg and Nick are travelling across the Atlantic at the moment in economy class, all cramped up and stuff, I'm here getting to chill in this nice, spacious, comfortable bed, and I'll just be having a really good night's sleep before I'm flying out of London Heathrow in the morning. Where am I off to? Stay tuned to find out. Look who I just found in the lounge at Heathrow. Hello.
So it turns out that not only were Nick and I on the same flight to London, but we're on the same flight to Copenhagen as well.
Crazy.
And it's crazy by itself, but it gets even funnier.
We're all here. The band's back together.
Steven's also going to Copenhagen. Same flight on SAS.
Didn't plan it. This is all just, we got a nice little surprise here.
So this is Green George, which is a Thomas Dambo troll. So if you've been following our adventures on challenges since, 2019, when we did 40k to Far Away, I found quite a few Thomas Dambo trolls, both here in Copenhagen and in Brussels. But this is one that I'd missed the first time. So this is the 50th troll that he created, and it's here in Christiania in Copenhagen. Just after midnight here in Madrid, and I've arrived at the Marriott Auditorium Hotel, which is about a 10-15 minute drive from the airport. I paid €130, which is about $140 for a base room or premium room, and then used one of my nightly upgrade awards to be able to get a 1-bedroom suite. So this is what it looks like. So in the entrance, there's a power room in here. And then that leads through to the living room, which is a decent size. Work desk, there's a mini fridge under there, coffee maker and stuff, and then welcome amenity with a note, a cute little tin with some hard candies in it. So I'll be looking forward to that for the rest of this trip. And then through to the bedroom. So they put me in a 2 twin beds room, but they also do have 1-bedroom suites with a king bed, but seeing as it's just me, having 2 twins doesn't really matter. So there's a closet in here. One of the most useful amenities will be this shoe midden, so that I can polish my toes while I'm here. And then through to the bathroom, double sinks. There's a toilet, there's one shower, and then a second shower with a bathtub. So I'm just here for one night. I think that there might be airport views from here, because there's this weird rectangular window thing. And then, I don't know, let's see. I think that's the airport out that way, so it might be that you can do a little bit of plane spotting if you stay here. So I'm heading down to my flight at the moment. I'm leaving Charles de Gaulle Airport, so as you might guess, I'm flying on Air France. and I'm heading to Amsterdam, and so it's probably fairly easy to work out which airline I'm going to be flying after that today. Where am I going to be flying on KLM after that, though, is a whole other matter, but if you've been tracking which of the European airlines I've been flying so far, you'll know that after that I'll have one left, so there's a good chance you'll be able to work out which city I'll be flying off to. Well, that worked out perfectly. I left Paris this morning and I'm currently in Amsterdam, and our flight left a little bit late and I only had a short connection, so I was worried that I wouldn't necessarily even make my next flight. As it turns out, we still landed a little bit early and I had time to go to a lounge to have a little bit of lunch, so that was perfect because the lounge was right on my way. So I'm off to fly KLM now after flying Air France earlier. I've just arrived at the InterContinental AthéNéE Palace in Bucharest, Romania, and I've been upgraded to a junior suite, so this is what it's like. So, entering from the hallway into the bathroom, and then the bedroom area here. So the bedroom area is not particularly huge, but it is nice being an InterContinental and getting upgraded to a suite because there is this separate living area. So good sized TV, and one closet has safe and hairdryer and stuff like that. There's tea and coffee making items and little mini fridge down here, and then just another large closet with a couple of bathrobes and ironing board. So I booked this with a free night certificate. It was exactly 40,000 points for the night, so that actually worked out perfectly for that because it meant that I didn't have to top up with any additional points. And there's also a little welcome amenity here of a couple of macarons, so I'll get to enjoy those tonight. I also have a IHG lounge membership, which came from one of my milestone rewards last year, and that's due to expire at the end of this year, so I'm going to be heading down there in just a moment to have a little bit of food, and so I will show you what that's like a little bit later. So I'm a little disappointed this morning. I'm here in Bucharest and I'd arranged to go on a free walking tour of the city, and so that seemed like a fantastic way to get to see a little bit of the place before I catch my flight out this afternoon. Only thing is, I don't know if you can see, but the weather is pretty bad today. It's raining out there. Actually kind of looks like sleety snow stuff. And so because I would be going straight from that walking tour to the airport, I wasn't too keen on walking around out there in my only pair of footwear and getting completely soaking clothes when I've got no way to dry everything off, and I'm going to be travelling pretty much non-stop for a few days, and so having damp clothing in my bag wasn't ideal. So I think I'm just going to be chilling in the hotel, just making the most of being here at the InterContinental in Bucharest, and I just have to come back to Bucharest another time to check out the city. So Greg and Nick have both enjoyed Reyes Business Class, where they've had an empty middle seat next to them. Well, I take the Reyes Business Class and upgrade that to Pepper First Class. Yep, I have an entire economy row all to myself. So I've just boarded my Aegean flight from Athens to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and I'm currently in a middle seat with no one sat right beside me at the moment, so fingers crossed that I might have the entire row all to myself, but we shall see. guys, time for a quick update on where I am and some of the weirdness that's kind of happened today. I'm currently in Medinah in Saudi Arabia. This is after leaving Bucharest yesterday, flying Tarim to Athens, and then flying from Athens to Jeddah on Aegean. From Jeddah, I caught a flight on Saudia to Medinah, which is where I currently am, and it was kind of regarding Saudia where the weirdness has all happened. So I'd had the issues when originally booking my flights where suddenly the price went up $2,000 when trying to book the flight I wanted. Eventually got a different Saudia flight, but for the last day or two I hadn't been able to check in for my flight. It had been giving me an error message online. Couldn't check in via the app or anything. So I get to Jeddah, need to find a desk, keep getting directed all kinds of different places, but I can't actually get to a desk anywhere, and the only Saudia desks that I was coming to, there was no one there. So eventually managed to get my boarding pass for my first flight, but not my second one. So just got to Medinah. Online I managed to get my boarding pass for Medinah onto my next city, emailed to me and texted to me. But it wasn't the seat that I'd paid for, and because I'd paid a little bit extra to have an aisle seat. And so went up to the desk and then realised that they'd sent me the boarding pass for some completely random dude whose name is nothing like mine, and so I have no idea why that had happened, and that might be why I'd had issues before, because also boarding from Jeddah to Medina, there had been some kind of message that flashed up saying that I wasn't allowed to board, but they just pushed it through and let me board anyway. So yeah, it's been really weird, but I've got a nice layover here in Medina now in a prime class lounge, which is part of Priority Pass. So just looking forward to chilling before the next long leg of my journey. One of the nice things that's worked out with the way that my trip ended up getting planned is that I've got a few really short layovers where I'm going to have some possibly dodgy connections, but other times I've got some longer layovers with a bit of time to spend time in the lounge and things like that, even though I don't necessarily have enough time for a hotel night somewhere. But what that doesn't mean is that in Asia there's quite a few Priority Pass lounges that include a shower, so I can still freshen up along the way, which is pretty handy, and I'm sure that all the other people on the planes will appreciate that too. So I've called an audible, and I'm kind of hoping that it all works out okay, and I'm not convinced it necessarily will at the moment. So when I was planning out my trip, I'd paid close attention to connection times, days, routes, airlines, and everything like that. Something I paid a little bit less attention to was trip length in terms of like how long some of the flights were, and I realised earlier on today that my flight from Medina in Saudi Arabia to Asia is going to be about 10 hours, and that was going to be in economy, and that just didn't sound like a particularly comfortable idea, what with all the other flying that I've got coming up. So I've decided, because I've already flown a leg on Saudia today, that should be perfectly fine for the credit for the challenge with Scandinavian Airlines. And so at the last minute, I've booked a business class one-way ticket through Flying Blue for 56,000 miles and about $28. Only thing is that I needed to be able to try checking in, but I couldn't leave the secure area because they'd already stamped my passport as me effectively having left the country. So I'm now waiting at a gate to try and be able to check in. Check-in's already closed, apparently a couple of hours ago. So I'm hoping that I'm able to get a ticket for this, otherwise I'm going to have to cancel the booking and fly economy. So I can still get to where I need to get to, but I'd much rather fly in comfort. Well, that's a relief. I was getting really nervous about this Garuda flight that I booked at the last minute, business class, because I hadn't been able to check in online. I couldn't head back to the departures area to check in at a check-in desk there because I'd already officially left the country here, and so had to just go to the gate and wait ages for the people to show up for the actual flight. And in theory, it wasn't necessarily a big deal just because I still had my economy flight available that I could run to get to. But if I wanted to get to that, then I didn't have much more time to be able to get my business class ticket, like actual boarding pass, sorted out. Thankfully, someone's just managed to do that. It took about 10 or 15 minutes for them to work out how to check me in and issue the boarding pass, just because it was booked so last minute and after the actual check-in had closed. Thankfully, I have it in hand now, and so I'm going to be flying 10 hours in much more comfort than I would have been otherwise, so it's a relief. So this is going to be my home for the next 10 hours. Much, much better than an aisle seat in economy. We're departing out of Saudi Arabia, and so the welcome drink is just juice, but cheers to 10 hours in business class. So I'm finally through immigration at Jakarta Airport, and I'm not even sure that I need to be through immigration because I flew into Jakarta and I have another flight out in a few hours' time, and so in theory I can just transit through the airport without needing any kind of visa. So I went to the transfer desk. I was there for like 20 to 30 minutes with a guy who didn't have any clue about transit visas, so he sent me to the immigration gates, and I couldn't pass through there because I didn't have any kind of visa or transit visa, so they sent me back to the transfer desk. He sent me to the desk where I needed to get a visa, which had a nice long line, so waited in line for ages, explained that I've been told that I need to get a visa, and then they basically refused to give me a visa because I'm transiting. And so she said, just go back to the immigration gate and speak to an agent there and they'll let you through. So I tried doing that, and they sent me back, said, no, you can't do that, you have to go back to the transfer desk. So I went back to the transfer desk, went back to the visa desk, and then eventually managed to get a visa paid for, and so now I need to go through customs and excise shortly, but we're about to do a live stream, so you'll see me, probably see me live before you end up seeing this video on Instagram. So yeah, that's kind of the adventure that I've had here in Jakarta Airport. So after the live stream's over, I've got to go through customs and excise and then back through security in order to be able to get to my flight later on. Thankfully, I had a long enough layover that it's not stressful, it's just been incredibly frustrating. Another empty middle seat in economy. So here's a little economy tip for you. When you have these little butter packets, if you try spreading it on your bread roll, then usually the butter's frozen and so it'll just rip your roll apart. So what you have to do, just stick it on top of your hot dish for a minute or two, and then you should be able to spread it more easily because it'll start melting it. So you see, it comes out much more easily and spreadable. So it's not every airport that you can go to that has a butterfly garden outside, but Singapore's Changi Airport does. Most handy on this medium mile madness trip, it has been a priority pass.
having access to all of these lounges when you're flying in economy class is absolutely fantastic. And I'm currently in the Mahaba Lounge in Singapore Airport, and this is my 9th priority pass lounge of the trip, and that's in addition to the 3 different Centurion lounges I went to and the Admiral's Club that I went to. So I guess my 13th lounge overall, but yeah, 9 priority pass lounges so far, and I imagine that it will get up to at least a dozen before the trip is over. So I've just arrived in Seoul Incheon Airport after taking a couple of flights on Vietnam Airlines. I'm now trying to get to a Korean Air flight, and I'm just hoping everything goes smoothly because our Vietnam Airlines flight took off an hour late, and so my layover here is much shorter than it was, and I hadn't been able to print off a boarding pass before. I was able to get checked in, but I have to get a boarding pass from a desk. So I was a little bit worried that I would have to come outside of the secure area to go to a desk in order to be able to get a boarding pass. It doesn't seem like that's the case. I've been able to get through so far just with confirmation that I have checked in, so fingers crossed I make this flight. Well, that's a relief. I recorded my last video about 25 minutes ago as I was waiting for a train to be able to connect to Terminal 2 at Seoul Airport. Yeah, I'd been a little concerned because I hadn't been able to print off my boarding pass ahead of time, I think because they needed to check my documents and my visa situation for where I'm flying to next. And so I was just concerned, like, given some of the convoluted transit rules at some of the airports that I've been having to go through, I wasn't too sure how easy that would be here at Incheon. Absolutely simple. The only downside is that the gates are fairly far apart from each other, so it was a bit of a stomp getting from where I was to the gate that I needed to get to, but I'm sitting here now. I've got at least like half hour until my plane's due to depart, if not a little bit more. So yeah, made it in plenty of time despite my last flight leaving more than an hour late. So I'm on my way to my next destination soon. So this isn't really ideal. I've just arrived in Bangkok Airport and I have a connecting flight in a couple of hours for Sharm el-Sheikh, and they're pretty much the only airline in Bangkok that doesn't have a transfer desk. So I basically got to go through immigration, go out to the departure hall, get properly checked in because you also can't check in for them online, so I can't get a boarding pass yet. And then I've got to get back through security. So in theory, 2 hours might be enough. However, it may well not be, depending on how long the lines for immigration are. So wish me luck. Okay, quick update. Getting through the immigration at Bangkok Airport was nice and quick. We thankfully managed to get in line just before another big flight load turned up. So I still have almost 2 hours to be able to find the Sharm el-Sheikh departure check-in area and then get back through security and make all my way to the gate. So feeling a little more confident now than I was now that I'm actually through immigration. Okay, I think things are all sorted. I've got my boarding pass now and I'm on my way to the gate. So had a little bit of a nervy moment there because I'm flying here from Bangkok to China, and then my flight onwards on a different airline after that is to Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, but via another Chinese city. They initially seemed slightly nervous about the visa situation, but it all seems to be good. And so off to my gate now, so one less thing to worry about. So about 15 years ago, my wife and I were living in Thailand, just outside of Bangkok in a local neighbourhood, because my wife was teaching at a school here. And one of our favourite things to do would be to eat locally from some of the food stalls just outside of our apartment, because it was much cheaper to do that than just going to the grocery store and buying groceries. So in Thailand, the word for chicken is gai, and there's a person who sold roast chickens just outside of our apartment complex, and so he was our guy. So we would go out and get a roast chicken, a couple of packs of sticky rice, and I would also get some Som Tom, which is spicy papaya salad. So it comes with green beans, sometimes comes with shrimp, sometimes doesn't, tomato, chili, it tends to be pretty spicy. And then either peanuts or cashews, fish oil, and some lime juice sprinkled in. And it's absolutely delicious, and I got really sucked into it. And the food stall that was just outside our apartment complex had the best Som Tom in all of Thailand that I tried, and I tried it in quite a few different places. But I'm here in Bangkok Airport and just figured I'd get some while I'm here, so cheers. So good. So if you're in a business class seat and there's no one in the seat next to you, does that make this pepper first class too? Super lucky. We had an hour-long delay for our flight leaving Xiamen earlier, and then we were connecting in Kunming, and then I was flying on to Ho Chi Minh City, and I already had a fairly short connection, so I wasn't entirely sure that I'd be able to make my next flight. Thankfully, they had someone waiting for us at the gate as we got off on Kunming, and so now we're on a VIP bus taking us to the gate, so it looks like I am going to be able to make the flight. Back at the start of the challenge, Greg got a really nice massage at Equinox Spa in New York, and then a couple of days later Nick went to the Therm Spa in Bucharest and had a nice relaxing day. Well, it's coming to the end of my trip, but it's time for me to indulge a little. So I just had a nice 75-minute hot stone massage for less than $20 at this massage place. So seeing as I'm in Vietnam, I figured I should probably have dinner. When we lived in Bangkok, there were often street dogs wandering around, so I'd figured that for the extra credit challenge where I have to pet some kind of dog, that it would be possible to do that once I got to Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, because I figured, well, there's probably going to be like some kind of street dogs wandering around. Surprising lack of street dogs here. I haven't seen any, like either on my grab ride to my hotel yesterday or when wandering around the neighbourhood to get a massage and have some dinner. So there was a petting opportunity though in the noodle restaurant where I had pho. Man, I dodged a bullet there. So I'm flying back to the US on China Airlines. So I'm flying from Ho Chi Minh to Taipei and then Taipei to Los Angeles. And I hadn't actually gotten around to checking in until this morning, just a few hours before my flight, which was a big mistake because I was able to pick an aisle seat for my flight, for the short flight from Ho Chi Minh to Taipei. But then I was due to be in a middle seat from Taipei to Los Angeles, which I think it's an 11-hour flight or something like that, so the thought of being in a middle seat for that long wasn't entirely appealing. I had to get a boarding pass from the check-in counter for the first flight to Taipei anyway, so when I got that, the agent asked if I wanted an aisle seat on the flight to Los Angeles, and so I absolutely took her up on that offer. no idea why it wasn't showing up when checking in online before. Maybe they have them blocked off for people who are checking in at the airport, maybe. But yeah, I was quite relieved when she offered that. So someone had mentioned that it's worth showing up at Ho Chi Minh 2.5 hours early for your international flight rather than 2 hours. And the reason why is because the immigration lines are kind of crazy to be able to get through security and stuff. So fingers crossed. I made it. So the challenge has been to fly 15 different SkyTeam airlines, but I realised the other day that I'd visited a whole lot of priority pass lounges on this trip, and so I took a look at how many I'd visited, and I was at about a dozen or something like that. So I figured, why not try to get 15 by the end of the trip in addition to the 15 airlines? And here I am in the Plaza Premium Lounge in TaiPei Airport. They got these nice little booths here that I'm sitting in, having a quick little snack just before I have to go board my flight. So, final couple of legs, so flying from Taipei to Los Angeles, and then back on from Los Angeles to Las Vegas on Delta to pick up my 15th airline. So, cheers. For the Million Mile Madness Challenge, had to fly 15 different SkyTeam airlines all around the world, and I just happened to end up visiting 15 priority pass lounges on the trip. The only thing was that although I made 15 visits, there were only 14 different priority pass lounges, because one of them I happened to end up visiting twice. So I just landed at Las Vegas on my final flight on Delta, and so I made sure that I picked up one more priority pass lounge for 15 total. So it's been another long travel day today. Set off about 24 hours ago, leaving Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, and flew to Taipei. That was just a few hour long flight. Had a short layover in Taipei, and then I had an 11-hour 15 flight to Los Angeles in economy. So that wasn't amazing. China Airlines, as economy goes, it wasn't bad, but it was just a long time in. Sorry, I'm just looking around the airport trying to find baggage claim. Okay, there we go. So China Airlines in economy, nice enough airline to fly in economy, but yeah, just a long time sitting in an economy seat like that, and ended up with sausage feed. And then once I reached Los Angeles, had a 3-hour layover or so before flying to Las Vegas on Delta for my 15th airline of the Million Mile Madness Challenge. You can tell I haven't had much sleep recently. So yeah, I've completed all of them and just about to get picked up by my wife from the airport. So here we go.
Who could we be here to get? Who could we be here to get, huh? Who do you think we might be here to get? Who do we think? Who do we think it might be? Oh, this truck has snacks on it. Oh, this nice. Let's just see here. We're between 6 and 7, pup. Tell everybody, hey, move forward, please. We're here to get our dad. We're here to get our dad. Yeah, we are.
One of the tasks as part of the challenge was to earn some extra points by petting Fido. So that was where you have to pet a dog. I don't think any of us really found a dog on the trip. Greg managed to pet some meerkats and hedgehogs, and I did find a cat in a restaurant that I was able to pet, and so I've already earned bonus points for that. However, I'm about to see the bestest doggo in the entire world, and so I feel like I'm hoping this might possibly get me some style points.
All right, let's look for him. Let's see, he has to pet a puppy. Where is he? Where is he? Let's see, is he coming? Here we go. Come on, people. Meet me. Yeah, Truffles, where is he? Where do we think he might be? It's between 6 and 7, he said. He said he would be here between 6 and 7. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? I don't see him. Do you see him? There he is. Truffy. Truffy, there's Daddy's. There he is. Yeah, all right. Well, see, here he is. Here he is, here he is, here he is. Where is he? Where is he? There he is. Hello. Come on, Dad. Get in.
Do you remember me?
Come on in,
Do you remember
Dad.
me?
Yes. Hi, Dad. Come on. In.
So, I'm about to see the best doggo. Hi, Truffles. Hi. Hi. Do you remember me?
Come on in.
Do you remember me?
Yes. Hi, Dad. Come on. In there.
Truffies. Hi. Closer. Have you been waiting 10 days for this?
Mom played. Mom played.
So now that Stephen is back home and reunited with his bestest bud, let's take a look at his final stats and where he placed in the challenge. Stephen ended up taking 23 flights, including positioning flights, and spent 10 days, 5 hours, and 28 minutes in travel. And he actually ended up getting the affordability win, spending $5,106, not including miles and points, and then finished the challenge placing third. Excellent job on your travels, Stephen, and thanks so much for taking us along for the ride.